I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. Yeah, man. I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with this hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Mike Washington is out on assignment. We still have Charles Bishop as well as A.D. Drew and Wilton Jackson II. With that being said, welcome to episode 743 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab, radio show and podcast, a show that's covering the sporting HBCU dash for all things HBCU sports for institutions large and small. From the NAIA to the NCAA, we share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs and the business of HBCU sports. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta, along with my co-host, Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, and we're filming from our home studios and sending a signal live to KSWA's 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer, multi-Hall of Famer Ralph Cooper in the beautiful home of Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. With that being said, let's bring everybody on board so we can get it started. Ask everybody how they're doing today. As we're doing that, let me go straight to you, Charles. How's your day going?
Doing well, Doc. Doing well. I'm still dealing with some Sunday fallout. I've been getting a lot of texts about the polls. I have to go back to, pitchforks and everything back in Jackson. So.
I imagine they really going to fall out after they hear us updates when we talk about the finalists for the band of the year. Oh, they're going to be happy about that, are you?
More. Thank you.
Rivals, the other side. I don't know what y'all want to. I know y'all don't quite call FAMU a rival yet, but Southern for sure. So some people are not going to be too happy. But it is an all SWAC affair. With that being said, A.D. Drew, how are you?
Man, I got 5 HBCUs in the D2 playoffs. Man, I'm happier than a cat in a milk factory right now, man. It's just I'm just bubbling up with joy, Dr. Cavil.
He said a milk factory. I like this. Yeah, I bet
you know how cats love milk, so
especially when you have working with a commissioner of a conference that really did a lot of the long work, along with the commissioner of CIAA. With some changing landscapes of getting in front of the things and making sure that the muscle behind things was set in the best place. Kudos to the coaches and team, administrators, management administrators across the board that put the wheels out there and turning in terms of them doing what needs to be on the field. Individuals like yourself getting information out there. And it's fascinating when it all comes together. It becomes a little more challenging to hold people down. So to get 5 in the playoffs, I agree with you. Superlative job by all in place. Good stuff. Wilton Jackson II, how are you doing today?
Doc, I'm doing good, man. We got a lot of stuff to talk about, and I ain't gonna lie to you. I didn't make the show on Sunday, but when I saw that poll come out, I was like, what? Like what's going on?
Hey, man. Yeah, I just revealed what the voters say and what the posters, but I remind everybody, it's week to week.
It's week to week.
One thing that you control, there is one thing that you control in terms of a fan of your team. I promise you, at the end of the day, where you want to be ranked is at the top at the end of the season.
You know,
front of the season, week to week, all those things are stuff for us fans. We get up, down. We have to provide some documents, and people get a chance to kind of float off and vote a little differently based on what they see in a week.
Yeah.
It's going to be okay.
Oh, yeah, it is. You know why it's gonna be okay? Because whatever team win gonna be holding a trophy. It ain't gonna look like this, but it's gonna be a little bit bigger. And whichever the
a lot bit bigger and a lot bit heavier.
Exactly.
No, you said it right though, Wilton. That's the goal. Is you'll be holding a trophy like that. And in fact, you do what needs to be done, because I'm sure a lot of fans you're talking about, the first step of the 3-step gauntlet, I would say, is to take care of business on Saturday.
Yep.
You hold up the Eastern Division trophy. That's one. It goes in the box.
Yep.
That means you're in on the championship game. And for Jackson State, they get the game at home, which means money in the pot. You show up and do what you need to do. Take care of business in any game. Second point, trophy is in the stable, and you got one more to do the triplicate.
Yep.
And that's the way it goes down. So everything else is just for fun and talk. But I get it. People are a little uncomfortable at times, and that's why we call them fanatics. Fanatics,
Exactly.
nothing else. They don't watch other games. All they watch is their team. They get final scores, right? You might get a couple of things talked here. Just like I heard all of Jackson State, their framework, by the way they saw it, was not that the game was close. It was the refs allowed it to not be close. That's all they see. That's it. And you take those glasses on, that you see. It doesn't see like any fan out there, Bethune-Cookman didn't think they got some calls. But no, your calls that you thought you got don't count. It was the ones that I saw for my team that affected us to do what we need to do to count. So it is. I deal with it all the time, trust me. And I have Prairie View fans. I'm like, what are you watching? I mean, these folks I care. I love some of them.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you talking about? Never mind. I said, I get it. I forget. Fanatic. Good. We need you there. In fact, as people suggesting, I'll be real. We need probably a couple of more of those folks at Prairie View to be in that level to come to the game, and so we can push that over the top and really have a good crowd. But we're working towards that. When you hadn't won consistently for a while, that's part of the problem. I tell everybody, win consistently. You'll take care of that too. So it is what it is. Let's move on and get into some real talk as we get in here. And I'm going to stick with you, Wilton, because I like the way you open it up, man. We're quite honest, right? I see that. So I'm going to ask you, what's on your mind this week as we focus today more on the mid-major level? We'll sneak in some major talk, but what's on your mind this week?
Well, I was actually about to get ready to do some of the MEAC honors, but I'll pivot from there. I'll just talk about, and AD Drew kind of alluded to it, so I'm going off script a little bit. Just the 5 teams that got into the Division II playoffs, and I think, obviously we know how historic that is, and to see, Johnson C. Smith get it done. I know I was the first person to say that game was going to be a close one, but they got it done, and shout out to Maurice Flowers for what he's been able to do with that team, and they got over the hump. I've been thinking all this season, I was like, I know I picked against them, but I wanted to see them. If they did win, I wanted to see them get the job done. They got it done. And, obviously Virginia Union still gets into the playoffs, so I was glad to see that. It's just good to have 5 teams in and see seasons continuing to go on after the regular season has now ended.
And all of them really had great cases.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't any automatic win type of thing. These are folks that should have been in regardless of winning the championship. So great points in terms of what that looks like representing the CIAA and the SIC. Charles, what's on your mind?
Let's take a look at it as the SWAC announced the volleyball tournament seedings and quarterfinal matchups as the SWAC has announced the 2025 SWAC volleyball tournament seedings following the conclusion of regular season play. Prairie View, they're 15-1 in SWAC. They entered the tournament as the number 1 seed after claiming the regular season SWAC volleyball regular season title. Jackson State will come in as the number 2 seed. They were 12-4 in conference play, with Alabama State, the number 3 seed, also 12-4 in conference play, followed by Bethune-Cookman in number 4. Alabama A&M comes in as the number 5 seed. They were 9-7 in SWAC play. Texas Southern will get the 6th seed, while Southern claimed the number 7 seed, followed by the number 8 seed, Florida A&M at 9-7. So the tournament will be played in single elimination format, with the action set to start at 11 a.m. Eastern Friday, November 21st, with matches stated to run through Sunday, November 23rd at the Al Lawson Center on the campus of Florida A&M University. So good luck to all those teams competing in volleyball championship this upcoming week.
Yes, very appropriate. Shout out
Great
to the ladies getting it done.
volleyball.
Regular season champion, as you pointed out, number 1 seed Prairie View A&M University. So they're back in the sports business over there at Prairie View a little bit, at least in the fall season. We'll see how that goes through the rest of the year. Shout out to them getting it done, all of those involved, particularly AD Golf we trust. And with that being said, let me go to AD Drew in terms of your thoughts. What's on your mind?
Great venue for volleyball. I just want to say, if you've never been there for volleyball, great venue for basketball also. But I want to get to the human resources office. Everybody, 2 coaching moves that have been made over the last day or so. Well, actually today, 2 coaches moves that were made today. Let's start off with Langston University. Langston University athletic director Danita Rogers announced that after 10 seasons at the helm, head football coach Quentin Morgan will not return next season. We would like to thank Coach Morgan for his service, dedication, and commitment to Langston University, serving the past 10 years as head coach. Langston will begin a national search immediately. Morgan posted a record of 68-33. 68-33 gets you not renewed these days. I'm gonna leave that right there in 10 years, including 59-23 in conference. And I guess this was his downfall. He hadn't been to the playoffs since 2018. 3 straight conference championships, 2017, 18, and 19. And he's the second winningest coach in Langston, only trailing CF Zip Gales, who coached from 1930 to 1957. Danita, point of special privilege, Danita, call for Rossi Norman. You got his number. He's a Langston grad, and you know he wants to coach at Langston. Danita Rogers, call for Rossi Norman. I want to put that. Let me take y'all off the screen. Danita Rogers, call for Rossi Norman. He's your next head coach at Langston University. Let's start the Ferocity to Langston campaign. I'm sorry, y'all. I didn't want y'all to be associated with that. But the other coaching news, as much of a shock as that was, this one was probably even more of a shock. And this was the first culture change that I heard of today. Edward Waters announced today that Todd Day, former NBA standout, University of Arkansas All-American, McDonald's All-American, and championship winning collegiate head coach, has been appointed interim head coach for the 25-26 season, effective immediately. Got to put a pause in there. Edward Waters has already played 2 games this year, y'all. Now, continuing on, they enters the role as one of the most accomplished coach, first round draft pick, yada, yada, yada. They brings an impressive record of NAIA coaching success from Philander Smith College, now Philander Smith University. Under his leadership, the program achieved back-to-back 20-plus win seasons in 22-23 and 23-24, claiming the then Gulf Coast Athletic Conference Tournament Championship in 2024. His teams became known for toughness, tempo, defensive intensity, and strong academic standards. So HR was doing a lot of work today, so just thought I would get some of those out. 1 football, 1 basketball. Everybody, some people were you know those paper boxes that be in the print room, they were put to use today.
Yeah, good stuff. Good reports. It's amazing how life is so fleeting, particularly in the coaching business. For both of those coaches, resume stands for themselves. Did really good work in terms of the ones that were let go. Particularly, I knew Langston during those playoff years. We had him on the short list to be elevated to FCS HBCU job. And after a couple of down years, fans get to rattling, and sometimes you're almost your worst enemy in terms of how well you do. And folks need to see the consistency. You fall back. and don't have one really hiccup season in there, they think you've lost it. So
yeah, stay ahead of the posse.
Yeah, so it's really fascinating. I always tell coaches to always look at that, and it is what it is. Very tough. Last thing I'll do before we take our first break, I kind of open up and tease this out, but the HBCU field for 2025 Red Lobster Band of the Year was revealed today. The finalists for the ESPN Red Lobster Band of the Year have officially been selected, and the 4 powerhouse HBCU programs will take center stage in Atlanta on December 12th as they battle for the national championship. This year's competition, rooted in excellence, tradition, and unmatched musical pageantry of the HBCU band world, has been most competitive season yet. Representing the pinnacle of HBCU marching culture, the bands moving forward embody the precision, pageantry, and passion that define the spirit of every HBCU campus. This year's finalists span both divisions, including 2 reigning champions looking for defending their crowns, which is fascinating. In Division 2, that's Fayetteville State University, Miles College, 24 champion, advanced to Atlanta after impressive seasons. In Division 1, Southern University, Florida A&M, in returning national champion, have earned their place in the final showdown. Each of the 4 programs has navigated a season filled with national showcase, profile performance, fierce competition from dozens of other HBCU bands. The result, championship field that represents the very best of HBCU marching bands. John Grant was quoted as saying, quote, "The 2025 Red Lobster Band of the Year season showcased the incredible talent and spirit of HBCU and high school marching bands. Our journey to identify the best was highlighted by the outstanding performances culminating in the selection of the top 5 bands in each division. Special recognition goes to the adjudication committee and the 4 exceptional bands who earned the honor to compete in Atlanta for a national championship, exemplifying excellence, dedication, and rich cultural legacy of HBCUs and high school marching bands," end quote. Amazing that we had the rumblings that Southern might back out. Obviously, that was after Jackson State did. Bethune-Cookman did themselves, but doing your thing and finding a way to stick with it at least has worked out for a championship run for Southern's band. So fascinating when you think about Miles College, the Purple Marching Machine, which earns the defend crown, showcasing another year of precision, drill work, and powerful sound. Fayetteville State University of the CIAA. Marching Broncos Express delivered one of the strongest seasons ever marching and continue to rise for the CIAA powerhouse. Division II HBCU finalists, 1 out of the SIC, 1 out of the CIAA. Division I finalists, Florida A&M University, FAMU, obviously, reigning Division I HBCU champion out of the SWAC. The Marching 100 enters Atlanta as the reigning Band of the Year champion and continues to set the standard across the HBCU landscape. Southern University of the SWAC, the Human Jukebox, lived up to its name once again, combining showmanship, volume, musicality, highest level of HBCU band culture. Fascinating, some great bands there Friday night. Get out and check that out. So I wanted to adjudicate that information to you all in terms of what that looks like. So with that being said, we'll take our first break, come back on the other side, get into your thoughts of these mid-major championship games, and then we'll take a deeper dive in what that looks like, have some discussion, get into the poll rankings in the final segment. We'll go into some matchups, these 5 playoff matchups, to see what you think. We'll be right back after this first break.
college football fans, the Cricket Celebration Bowl is celebrating 10 years of crowning an HBCU national champion. A champion will rise at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on December 13th as the MEAC and SWAC champions clash in Atlanta. Join us for championship football, interactive fan experiences, and iconic marching bands. It's an HBCU family reunion that you don't want to miss. See who will be crowned the next HBCU national champion. For event and ticket information, visit thecelebrationbowl.com.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a state, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. Whether you're a student or a lifelong supporter, our gear lets you wear your HBCU stories with confidence and style. Because when you wear an HBCU Image, you're not just wearing clothes. You're wearing culture. You're wearing pride. You're wearing purpose. HBCU.
With over 25 years of serving our communities, Destiny Financial Services, a division of Global Life, is here to help you and your family through difficult times. From cancer care to accidental industries to cardiac care, we all know that there are times that you can't control what happens in your life, but you can be prepared to weather the storm when it comes. Call DFS at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at www.globelifeinsurance.com. That is 877-300-8269, or again, the website at www.globelifeinsurance.com.
ESPN Events presents Red Lobster Band of the Year, a title reserved for elite HBCU marching bands. A season-long competition that culminates in Atlanta on Friday, December 12th. Drum majors, percussion, drill, auxiliaries, musicality. All aspects will be examined by the toughest judges in the world of college bands. 4 will qualify for the big stage, where national champions will be crowned. Follow us on social media for rankings updates throughout the season. And join us in Atlanta on December 12th. For event and ticket information, visit bandoftheyear.com.
Compress the analytic data with the compress the analytic.
Greetings, Santos. My name is Roland Austin, and I'm one of the directors at the 1876 Athletic Foundation.
Compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Charles Bishop, Wilton Jackson II, and AD Drew. As we get into it, I'm going to go with you first, AD Drew. What excited you in terms of the matchups, or what stood out to you in terms of those CIAA, SIAC championship? And you could throw in a little bit of Kentucky State since they had the SIAC matchup and Allen as well. But those 3 winners, as well as those that participated as the semifinalists in that matchup, all got bids. But what stood out to you in terms of the championship games?
Well, I'll start off with the non-championship games, the 2 extra games that the SIAC played, with Allen playing Erskine and Kentucky State playing Shorter. The fact, number one, that we won both of those games, and that we won both of those games in convincing fashion. Obviously, one of our teams was able to benefit from that win. Kentucky State getting to 9 Division II wins, and I don't think the lay person understands how important that magic number of 9 wins are. 8, 9, 10 Division II wins, because a lot of the metrics had Kentucky State on the bubble, possibly being out with 2 bids being stolen literally by North Greenville and Valdosta State. So it came down to the last team that was in was Kentucky State, even though they were probably a 6, but because those other 2 teams stole bids. It's just like March Madness, fellas. You know what you don't want is the team that ain't supposed to win the conference tournament to win the conference tournament, because you still got to put that ranked team in, and now you got to put this other team in because they got the automatic bid. It's the same thing when it comes to football, and it came down to Kentucky State and UNC Pembroke for that last spot. Everybody, Albany State obviously was solid in at the number one spot. Benedict was pretty well in being in the championship game, although I did have some concerns on how the committee would rate them, having lost to the same opponent twice. And you can see those concerns were real because Benedict did not get a home game. They're shipping Benedict on the road, so they did penalize them for losing to the same opponent twice in one season. Switching over to the CIAA, I think I said this Sunday. Did not surprise me that Johnson C. Smith was actually able to win this game, but the manner in which they won the game, did surprise me. And I'm gonna be honest, I think that was a anomaly because Johnson C. Smith had faced Curtis Allen previously this year. I don't think a team could game plan for a Curtis Allen like Johnson C. Smith, except for the fact that A, they're a conference opponent, and B, they had already faced him that one time this year and knew exactly what he could bring and what it would take, in their opinion, to stop him. And I say stop, relatively speaking, because the man still had 25 carries for 183 yards. Yeah. So if that's what you call stopping, then you stopped him. And I guess the most important stop was on the scoreboard. Virginia Union was not able to get into the end zone. So just my thoughts. Johnson C, very favorable draw. Union, very favorable draw. And we could have Ali Frazier 3 in round 2 in the CIAA with Johnson C and Union. Should both of them win, we'll play that rubber match. And this time, let's see, it will be back. I believe the first one was in Charlotte, if I remember correctly. So this one will be in Charlotte because Johnson C having a higher seed.
Good stuff. Let me go to you, Wilton. Let me ask you from this perspective. You can either go back to the games. I think Drew kind of broke it down there. But what were your thoughts when you started hearing about the playoffs, specifically when you knew the final number was 5?
I didn't necessarily know if it was going to be truly 5 teams that got in, because I knew if it was, obviously we would be sitting where we are now talking about 5 teams and the historic mark for what that really means. But I knew, obviously, if Albany State won, you knew they were going to be in. If Johnson C. Smith got in, you knew that they would be in. But I was kind of wondering, like, okay, who could that 5th team be? So really, once I kind of knew the teams that played each other, and then after that, I was like, okay, who could be that 5th team? Can it be Kentucky State? But I was a little on edge about Kentucky State because of, obviously, we know the matchup situation from last week, you know, in terms of who they were supposed to play, who they ended up playing. It worked out for them because, obviously, they still get the playoff spot. So more than anything, I was just glad to see that. Could it actually happen? Could it actually be 5 teams from the D2 level to get in? And like I said, hopefully this might be a blueprint for seeing this amount of teams or maybe more to get in going forward. That was my biggest takeaway.
And I'll tell you how that happened after Charles' comments.
Yes, Charles, let me ask you, I know you were doing the game, so you didn't necessarily but you got the highlights, you got the review. What was your thoughts coming out of Saturday evening, particularly Sunday, maybe when you got the announcement who got into the playoffs?
I think Sneaker Shop said it. I mean, SIAC looks like geniuses in terms of what they were able to do to get 5 teams. Or overall, you know, to get the number of teams they did in the playoffs. But
they got 3 specifically, but 5 overall.
Specifically and 5 overall. But I mean, I think, you know, the question for me is, I think Wilton touched on it, is, does this become kind of like the blueprint? Are we going to see this going forward year in, year out, where you get multiple teams? I mean, 4 or 5 teams playing playoff football. So I think that's one of the things that I kind of took a look at going forward. And AD, I mean, the fact that a team was able to get to 9 wins, how much of a cudgel that could be in terms of going forward, a team getting to 9 wins. So those are all very important takeaways in terms of all these teams getting to the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree with you. That 9 wins on the season is really solid, particularly 9 D2 wins. Makes a statement when you look at that. Let me go back to you, Drew, in terms of your comments that you wanted to get back in there before we take the next break.
Yeah, I think we need to put it to perspective how this actually happened. And this happened with the creation of Conference Carolinas. And they had to slot Conference Carolinas into a super region. There are 4 super regions out there. 4 super regions of 8 teams each. 32 teams make the playoffs. First of all, let's back up. Back when I started doing this stuff 20 plus years ago, only 6 teams got in. Then it went from 6 to 7.
7. Yep.
So back, and I want to say
that's
back
when
in
the number 1 seed would get the bye.
Right. And I want to say back in those days when Winston-Salem was making those runs, I believe it was only 6 during that time. Mm-hmm. And then it went to 7 when Tuskegee was the dominant team HBCU wise on the Division II level in the late teens. And this year's the first year that they've gone to 8 teams per super region. So number one, that helps. The fact that you get 8 teams in instead of 7. You don't think one team makes a difference? It really does make a difference, because at 7, Kentucky State was probably out. Now, moving on down the line, the other thing is because of Conference Carolinas being created, they had to slot them either in Super Region 1 or Super Region 2. Keep in mind, SIAC and CIAA both used to exist in Super Region 2. So there were many years in which we were battling each other for playoff berths. Now they have separated us, and it when the NCAA announced it, it did concern me a little bit, because a lot of the teams that left to go to Conference Carolinas are those former Gulf South teams. And anybody who follows football in Division II level knows how good of a conference the Gulf South has been. Your Delta states, your Valdosta states, your West Floridas, your West Georgias, and a lot of those teams that have moved up to the FCS level started off in the Gulf South. The Gulf South was their last stop before they moved up to the FCS level. So with all those teams going to a new conference, there was concern about whether they would still bump us out.
Yeah, Herper Hill. Yep.
Right. So with that, I think that was one of the reasons Dr. Holloman came up with the agreement. And this agreement goes back to 2023, everybody. This is not something that they figured out back in June and announced in July.
Right.
You know, it just did not get announced in July, but they made this agreement back in 2023 when Conference Carolinas decided they were adding football along with all the other sports that they already had. So, CIAA going to Region 1, SIAC staying in Region 2 helped us. No longer competing. You got a brand new conference, and let's be real. Conference Carolina is now the dog conference, whereas before you may have considered one SIAC or CIAA as a conference that had to earn their respect. Now it's the Conference Carolinas that has to earn their respect. They only had 2 teams over 500 in the Conference Carolina. One of them got in. So, you know, that also helped open up a slot. So, despite the bid stealing, we were able to maintain, and now we're set up. Now we only got one job left to do, everybody.
Win?
Yeah, we got to win. It does us no good to get 5 teams in, and we come home with 5 L's on Saturday.
Good stuff. Want to get one last one before we take this break quickly. How much do you think it would have helped for Fayetteville State if they had a similar arrangement where they played a game that weekend? Obviously, would have needed to win it if they would have won. Would you think about where their ability to get in the playoffs if that had took place?
That would have given them possibly their 7th win on the Division II level. I'm gonna be honest. This year, I do not think it would have. Yeah, I don't think it would have helped because there were too many 8 and 9, including
tough non-conference schedule and really started out slow 0-3,
including the number 1 overall seed, Frostburg, in their region. Yeah. Frostburg going 11-0 inside of in Division II. All their games being Division II. It was an uphill battle, but it didn't help Fayetteville State. The fact that bids were also stolen in Super Region 1.
Good stuff. Let's take our next break. Come back on the side and unveil top 7. We know there's some changes in the rankings with the upset, if you would, in the CIAA championship game. We'll see what that does to the top 7 right after this next break.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. Whether you're a student or a lifelong supporter, our gear lets you wear your HBCU story with confidence and style. Because when you wear HBCU Image, you're not just wearing clothes. You're wearing culture. You're wearing pride. You're wearing purpose. HBCU Image, a Kenny T's company.
ESPN Events presents Red Lobster Band of the Year, a title reserved for elite HBCU marching bands. A season-long competition that culminates in Atlanta on Friday, December 12th. Drum majors, percussion, drill, auxiliaries, musicality. All aspects will be examined by the toughest judges in the world of college bands. 4 will qualify for the big stage, where national champions will be crowned. Follow us on social media for rankings updates throughout the season. And join us in Atlanta on December 12th. For event and ticket information, visit bandoftheyear.com.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. But today we have none other than Professor Bishop, Professor Wilton Jackson II, as well as Professor A.D. Drew. With that being said, obviously we didn't get a chance to do helmet stickers, but wanted to make sure we acknowledge being El Cavil Senior Big Ben Award as we start to look at some of those outstanding players and prepare to announce a winner in this spring after the end of the season. That being said, let's get into some of the score updates, if you would, in terms of what took place. Before we do that, this is the previous week, week 10, at the mid-major level rankings. At number 7, you have Virginia State Trojans. At number 6, Fayetteville State Broncos. At number 5, Kentucky State Thoroughbreds. At number 4, Benedict Tigers. At number 3, Johnson C. Smith. At number 2, Virginia Union Panthers. At number 1, Albany State Golden Rams. The top 5 teams had contests, so we'll see what that means as we start looking at those scores to give you updates. In terms of week 10, as you know by now, Albany State, the Golden Rams defeated the Benedict Tigers. That was 1 versus 4 matchup. 22-16 was the final score there. Next matchup featured 2 versus 3 in the CIAA championship game. In that matchup, you had Virginia Union and Johnson C. Smith. Johnson C. Smith defeats Virginia Union and really got it done. 45-21 was the score there. As you said earlier, a little bit of surprise in terms of what took place in terms of that matchup. And you see Johnson C. Smith gets to the 10 wins, much like Albany. Fascinating when you see the records of these teams. Getting us to number 5, which also had a matchup. That's Kentucky State. They played shorter. That Conference Carolina agreement with the SIAC with the Thoroughbreds win 35-7. They improved it. Should be 9-2, 7-1 overall, while shorter falls to 2-9, 1-5 is what they did in conference play. Number 6, when we look at that, they were open. Fayetteville State, as you see, just a 6-4. Even with the game of 7-4, it'd have been hard for them to get that momentum going. Virginia State closes out at 6-4 and 4-3 as they were frozen, did not play this week. Let's look at the top 7 as we get into it. In terms of dropping out. No team dropped out this week as only the top 5 teams played, but we do have some movement. But before we do that, let's see who's receiving votes, see what that looks like. You had Allen Yellow Jackets to give them some love, closing out the season with the 5-5 mark, 5-3, really closing out the season strong.
6-5, actually.
6-5.
Because they played Saturday, 6-5.
Oh, that's right. I forgot they did get their game in. Thank you for that update. Oh, should run the numbers again and see why they didn't get in. 135 Livingston Blue Bears 5-5 in terms of 3-4 overall, 130 points. Edward Water Tigers 5-5, 4-4. Particularly when you think about the SIEC did outlast the CIAA 4 games to 3 overall. With that being said, let's get in the top 7. Kind of spoiled that a little bit. The number 7, Virginia State Trojans, 6-4. A little better mark than 6-5. 145 as they were ranked 7th last week and remain there. And number 6, you have Fayetteville State Broncos, 6-4, 6-1. 146 points stayed at the 6th spot. A little bit change here at number 5. See what the gentlemen think about this. Benedict Tigers fall 1 spot after the loss in the SIEC championship game. 9-2, 7-1, 169 points. Meaning number 4, you might guess it, is Kentucky State Thoroughbreds. Their win improved them to 9-2, 7-1. One of the season, remember, as Benedict did get in, it was a tiebreaker, but it wasn't a head-to-head. These two teams didn't play. So fascinating to see what that looks like in this case. But Kentucky State Thoroughbreds are in with 171 points. They do move up a spot, as you see, being number 4. Let's look at the top 3. At number 3, we have that change. You have Virginia Union Panthers, 9-2, 7-0. They fall a spot, previous ranked 2. They have 2 first-place votes, 197 points. After being 2 and the loss to Johnson C. Smith, they fall a spot. And Johnson C. Smith actually moves up into that 2nd spot as they get to 10-1, 6-1. Binge a loss, 2 first-place votes, 298 points. As you see, pretty close for 2 and 3, but they do edge out the Panthers as Johnson C. Smith moves up from number 3. Meaning number 1, probably shouldn't surprise you, 4th straight week. As they held that spot and got a claim to it, they won't relinquish, it seems. They're 10-1, 8-0, perfect conference record. They're getting it done there with 4 first-place votes, 206, and did it in fine fashion as they win the SIEC championship, and they are at number 1. Charles, you see the top 7, see slight changes. What are your thoughts, and how does those changes affect you as you see Albany State was number 1, and they remain there for the 4th straight week number 11?
No, I think the changes were about correct. When you take a look at where I thought I was curious, 4-5, but Kentucky State and Benedict, that's about right. So I think where the final standings here are about what it should look like. I think these are the top 4. These are the top 5 teams in the conference, and you see they are moving forward here in the playoffs. So I think you hit the nail on the head on this one.
So you have no problems with Kentucky State sliding up a spot?
I do not. I think Kentucky State, this matchup against Newberry should be very interesting.
I agree with you there. We get to talk a little bit about that in the next segment, but good lead in. Let me go to you, Wilton. What are your thoughts in terms of the top 7?
I think it's pretty spot on. Definitely, obviously, Albany State, number one team for a reason. They beat Benedict twice. Like I said, going into last week, it's hard to beat a team twice, and they got the job done. So I was glad to see that. Johnson C. Smith, I kind of alluded to that at the top of the show. They finally get it done in terms of beating Virginia Union for the CIAA title. We knew that it was the hump that they needed to get over in terms of winning that CIAA title. Virginia Union sitting at 3. Now, I don't have a problem with 4 and 5 with Kentucky State and Benedict. I personally probably would have still put Benedict over them just based off of the fact that Kentucky State played a non-conference team and Benedict was playing in the championship and they lost to the eventual champion. So that's how I see that. But it's not a super big deal to me. I'm okay with it being 4 or 5. 6 and 7, Fayetteville State, Virginia State, that rounds out the top 7.
That's why I love this segment when you get to talk and you see folks that vote and you see what they see when everybody puts their votes together, the uniqueness of how they gauge their poll rankings. So for one person, them not playing each other, losing in a championship game costs versus another team winning. And the fact, like you said, that playing in the championship game, somebody else sees that as more beneficial in terms of how you ranking and don't want to punish somebody for that. So great explanation by both of you all. Let's get to Drew, get his final analysis as the 3rd tiebreaker, maybe, in terms of what he thinks about the top 7.
I'm going to assume, Dr. Cavil, because I see numbers and I just can't look past. So I'm going to assume somebody had fat fingers and that Johnson C. Smith should have 198 instead of 298 in the number 2 spot. So,
right.
So I'm going to assume that's supposed to be 198. But since we're talking about numbers, I really want to know who are the 2 that still voted for Union at number 1. After the way they lost to Johnson C. Smith, I really want to know who those 2 people were. It's not that they lost, it's how they lost. Exactly. And because of how they lost, you can make an argument that Kentucky State could be as high as 3 right now because they did win their last game, although against a weak opponent, they won it convincingly, and Union pretty much got dominated by Johnson C. Smith. So you can make that argument that Kentucky State should be as high as 3. But I've got to fight for my SIAC. Allen played, State didn't. I think Allen should be at 7 versus and Virginia State should be in the receiving votes category. So yes, I am going to fight for my SIAC team on that one, Dr. Cavil.
I see. So You fighting a little bit so you'd have pushed up Allen into that spot there.
Into that 7th spot, yes.
I can see that. Virginia's last appearance was a loss. Allen's is a win. It'd be interesting.
Allen actually won 4 in a row down the
stretch. They won 4 in a row, which is a big point too, which is how they got in to the A spot as they kept climbing and jumped in there. But it'll be interesting to kind of see how everybody plays in the first round, and sometimes that does mix up not only stuff at the top with the teams playing, but even in terms of the team behind them. And then people hear us talking and have the reminder of the head-to-head with CIAA, SIAC. Some people will change their votes. Go ahead, Drew.
And I was going to ask this. Somebody asked this on the show, and I could not answer this with a knowledgeable answer. How are we going to determine who's going to be number 1 at the end of the year, y'all, with so many teams playing? We've never had to deal with this before. It's always been 2, 1, 2, maybe 3 teams tops that we have to worry about. What happened when let's go from one extreme to the other. Everybody loses this Saturday. Who do we make number 1? Do we go by how they lost? Or let's go the flip side. We got some that may potentially take care of themselves head to head. We know the 2 CIAA teams can beat in the second round. We know 2 of the 3 SIAC teams could potentially beat in the second round. But, what happens if those 2 teams don't come out or they lose in the same round? How do we determine this year who's our mid-major number 1 going to be? It's going to be fun seeing how these people vote, and will people vote with their hearts, or will they actually look at data, Dr. Cavil? And I'm one of those posters. I know I'm using data. I'm using data in the eye test. Everybody don't do that.
Now, I think you asked really good questions, and that's the magic. And all those folks have different, and some people may lean different ways, more with the heart. Those that get a chance to really watch the game based on how they see the game, how close it was. Does one seem to have more chance to win? What kind of errors were made in the game? Do we get to the head-to-head? Obviously, for a lot of folks, that's going to weigh heavy if we get it. So you have some people that look at the head-to-head matchup with 7 games between the CIAA and SIAC, and they might just go by the squeaker of SIAC edging it out. So it'll be fascinating, as you said, to see at the end of this how everybody puts in their votes and weighs in that. Then you might have some commissioners doing some lobbying. You might have some coaches doing some lobbying. We'll see what that looks like, too. Every once in a while, you quietly get that out there with a text, Twitter, email. It's like,
hey, and help them with their contract ready to go.
Hey, did you look it up? Or you might have a good SID that shares additional information for you to consider in your analysis. So some people do that extra homework. No, Charles, we can't be bought off, right? No. But hey, you never know. Some people might take that extra drinking money as they getting prepared for the SWAC championship game and or the cricket celebration ball. Somebody wants some help in terms of their trip money. With that being said, let's take a last break before we all get in trouble. Come back on the other side and talk about some of these playoff matchups and see what stands up. This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavil of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a state, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. Whether you're a student or a lifelong supporter, our gear lets you wear your HBCU story with confidence and style. Because when you wear HBCU Image, you're not just wearing clothes. You're wearing culture. You're wearing pride. You're wearing purpose. HBCU.
College football fans, the Cricket Celebration Bowl is celebrating 10 years of crowning an HBCU national champion. A champion will rise at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on December 13th as the MEAC and SWAC champions clash in Atlanta. Join us for championship football, interactive fan experiences, and iconic marching bands. It's an HBCU family reunion that you don't want to miss. See who will be crowned the next HBCU national champion. For event and ticket information, visit thecelebrationbowl.com.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
Before we talk about these playoffs, we'll lean a little bit on AD Drew in this segment. So y'all welcome to open up and ask some questions, Charles and Wilton.
Yeah.
If you want to do that part rather than jumping in. Obviously, you can talk about which way you're going and leaning to point out the victory. But I want to take a little point of privilege, if you would, and give a shout out to Joseph Clay. Joe Clay is what we call him, Brother Joe Clay. In terms of the president of the fan club officially put it out there in terms of in golf, we trust. I just wanted to put that out there a little bit in terms. I also wanted to challenge him as one of the first group of individuals that looked at a little bit of what Charles was doing with the I Love in their game show with Neely in terms of focusing what they did. And they came up with the 1876 Sports and Culture. So I want to give them a little challenge. Now that Prairie View has clinched the Western Division, for them to have a show for the championship game, SWAC championship game. So calling out Allen, to make sure they get in there and do what's necessary to get this done. I wanted to give them a little bit of shout out and challenge of what that looks like. Roland, Guy T, in terms of those with the 1876 Sports and Culture. So Mike Washington, it's always kind of tough in terms of getting him to get his calendar together. But if they can find a way to make it work, and Shanetta, want to make sure, as band director, maybe she can talk a little bit of band of the year. What happened to Prairie View not being able to get outside of the top 10, not even the top 5, and what they're going to do in Jackson. Maybe they can decide to do a little bit of a show. So again, Brother Joe Clay, Brother Alan Williams, Brother Michael Washington, Brother Roland Alston, members of Alpha Phi Alpha, it's time for you all to stand up and put together a segment of 1876 sports and culture. Particularly now you have an opportunity to bring in AD Golf, and Golf we trust in terms of Joe Clay, leader of the fan club. With that being said, let's get back to business. If you would, Charles, you've seen a little bit about those guys down there, so I know you can appreciate a challenge coming at them like that as well.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I appreciate you backing me up with that. Let's get into these matchups as we get into it for sure. In terms of the first one, let's just go with our number 1 ranked team that hosts Valdosta State Blazers. Valdosta actually with Coach Jackson, that's now at Prairie View, that's won the Western Division and has his chair with his players ready for a SWAC championship game. They have one more game. Obviously, don't want to count that out as they host Mississippi Valley State. That is ruined one of the times when Prairie View was actually seeking a bid. They got them, and they knocked them off another year when they were trying to do that. So fascinating when you talk about what their matchups look like, as Mike likes to say, Valley. Not so fast, Charles will tell you all the time. But let's get back to Valdosta State in terms of not quite the juggernaut they were last year. Obviously, only 4 teams. They did go undefeated in the Gulf South Conference. The Blazers take on Golden Rams. For a lot of years, these teams would play in the playoffs. Oftentimes, Blazers would get, well, that's the Golden Rams. They get a chance maybe to get payback, a lick back. They're 10-1, 8-0. We'll see what that looks like. Let me go to you, Drew. What are your thoughts in terms of this matchup?
There's a lot you could dig into here, and I'll try to be brief unless you just want the guys to ask me my opinions on it. But just a couple things I'd like to point out as far as what it comes down to. Albany State's defense versus the hot Valdosta State offense. Now think about it. Valdosta State just scored 47 points against a West Florida team, a damn good West Florida team, the previously number 1 West Florida team. They have scored 27 or more points in not 1, not 2, but 3 consecutive games. Now, all 3 of those games were Gulf South opponents. Can Albany State stop Valdosta State explosive plays? Another key. Albany State's gonna have to run the ball. So, and can Isaiah Knowles do what Isaiah Knowles does best and keep the Blazers off pace? Those are just a couple of things that I want to put out there as a couple of keys to the game.
While Albany State is ranked number 1 in our ranking, they are number 1 in that playoff seating in that bracket there. So I want to acknowledge that. I want to ask y'all to break it down, but which direction are you going, Wilton, with this game?
I'm going to lean towards Albany State, but I think this is going to be a tough matchup, believe it or not. It may not seem that way in terms of records-wise, but I definitely think it's still going to be a tough matchup for them, and for many of the reasons that AD Drew just alluded to. I think that if Valdosta State, in terms of their secondary, because it's pretty strong, if they find a way to basically limit some of the plays that Isaiah Knowles wants to do in the air, that could be an interesting aspect. But then also just thinking about the fact that this is a team, this is a Valdosta State team that's used to being here in this particular spotlight. So that's why I say, like, this won't just be an easy match. So I honestly think that if you are Isaiah Knowles, you have to not necessarily have a perfect game, but you definitely can't turn the ball over, and you definitely have to control the pace and keep Valdosta State, to Drew's point of knowing that they can score points, keeping them on the sideline.
Where are you, Charles?
Well, I wanted to ask this question. I mean, especially when you take a look at a program like Valdosta State, 4 national championships. They're 22-2 versus Albany State, 3-0 in playoff. I mean,
don't forget they were runner-ups last year also.
Runner-ups last year. I mean, how do you overcome that aura that they bring to the playoffs in terms of trying to get the win?
Number one, because these teams have played often, although it has been one-sided, Valdosta State is 9-1 against Albany State in the last 10. The fact is, Albany State is not scared of Valdosta State because they have seen Valdosta State. These teams play every 2-3 years against each other at one place or another. Valdosta State has never been afraid to come to the Coliseum to play Albany State. Another thing, but this is, can Valdosta State deal with this HBCU environment? They not used to that band playing when they ain't supposed to play, and y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. To the point where the referee got to get on. Could the Albany State band please not play while the other team has the ball? Let's count the over under on that before they decide they're gonna penalize them, y'all. Things with things like that. Here's another thing. Valdosta State does not travel, and even though these teams are an hour and a half, hour 45 apart, this will be a very favorable home crowd for the Golden Rams. And if you've ever been in the Albany Coliseum for a game, when that crowd shows up, that crowd knows how to cheer their team on. So
great points.
It's the intangibles. You got to lean towards Albany State, but let's keep this real. Albany State's got to win the turnout. They can't turn the ball over. They're going to have to get the ball to their tight ends. They're going to have to get the ball. They're going to have to. If Albany State can get up early and lean on that running game and the short passing game, it will be a
control the pace.
Control the pace.
Yeah, I was going to say that too. That they need to really jump in there and get ahead of them in the pace. I want to get through these others because we're up against the time. So we're going to move through these maybe a little faster in terms of breaking it down than we did on the number 1 seed. But we have our ranked number 4 Benedict Tigers. Should be 5, going up against Wingate. That's the Tigers, the Bulldogs. In terms of playoff seeding, the Wingate comes in the 4 seed. Both teams come in at 9-2. The Tigers are 7-1 in what they did conference, while Bulldogs were 7-2 out of the SAC. With that being said, where are you leaning with this matchup and why, Drew?
Let's keep something in mind. Wingate has won 6 consecutive ball games, while Benedict is 2-2 in their last 4. Obviously, those two have been to the same opponent. Let's start off with the line of scrimmage. Benedict's defensive line versus Wingate's offensive line. Who's going to win that battle? That's going to be number 1. Wingate has only allowed, count on, 12 sacks all season long, fellas, and that's amazing. That's like 1 sack per game. And I had the stat somewhere. I'm trying to find it. How many sacks Benedict had? Oh, Benedict has 39 sacks on the season. So something's going to have to give in that category. Number 2, Wingate is offensively is averaging almost 140 yards more per game than Benedict is offensively. Can Benedict steal a possession or two? Because the one thing is, Benedict is going to have to keep their defense off the field. Yep. If you're Darius Ocean, you cannot turn the ball over, and we know he's been prone to turn the ball over. So control the turnovers, steal a possession or two, or a backdoor steal, as I like to call them. What a backdoor steal is, the team goes down, they get just outside the red zone, you force them to kick 3, and they miss a field goal. That's a backdoor possession, because they don't wind up scoring out of it. So there's going to a special teams play. We saw that's what kept them in the game in the SIC championship game. They're going to have to get something, either a special team score, a defensive score, or the defense is going to have to set them up with a very short field so that the offense can go down and get an extra possession to score.
Good stuff. So Charles, where are you going based on the breakdown there?
Wingate broke my heart back in 2022 when Benedict had that great team. That's the first thing that jumped out at me when I saw this matchup.
Yeah, you're right.
They going to Wingate. This is going to be a tough one for Benedict when you take a look at it. And the question for me is, can you keep Darius Ocean upright in this one? Because Wingate, they got a young man, Elihu Lipscomb. God, he had 7 sacks in his last outing. So you got to keep him upright. You got to find a way to put some points up on the board against this team. So my heart says Benedict, but my mind says, God, one of the best teams I had. Wingate beat them back in 2022. So.
Wilton?
AD Drew didn't leave no meat on the bone, and Charles is added to it. Just saying. Just got to put it out there. But no, I got Wingate winning this game. I think he's just going to be too much of that.
He said Charles ate the bone.
Yeah. The gristle and everything. It's gone. But no, I got Wingate winning this game in so many ways. I think, to Charles's point, I don't know if Darius Ocean is going to be able to stay upright, because I think Wingate's going to bring that pressure. And I just really think that I don't know if Benedict is going to be able to score enough with Wingate to win this game as well. So I got Wingate winning this game.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Let's move on to the next one. Frostburg State Bobcats 9-2, 7-1 at Johnson C. Smith Golden Bulls 10-1, 6-1. Mountain East versus CIAA. While we have Johnson C. Smith as a number 2, they're also the number 2 seed in that region. We'll go with you, Wilton. What are your general thoughts on this matchup?
Man, this is an intriguing one. This is a very intriguing one. I do think it's one that's winnable for Johnson C. Smith. I think a lot of it too is also, I'm not really ready for their magical season to come to an end. So, but I think that for them to win this game, they have to do the things that have gotten them there. Of course, leaning on Kevin Durham and what he's been able to do for this team, their rushing attack as well. They absolutely have to win third down situations and protect the ball. They can't have turnovers. We've seen them have some scares in the second half with turnovers, specifically in those last 2 games of the season, but they found a way to win. So this is going to be a tough Frostburg State team with some playmakers in different areas of the field. So the way that Johnson C. Smith has kept it together from the last 2 weeks of the season to, finally getting over the hump and dominating Virginia Union, you kind of got to have another dominant performance to beat Frostburg State. Simple as that.
Charles?
Yeah, Kevin Durham has to be special in this. So I think Johnson C. Smith can get it done, but you got to have that star performer stand out in this game.
AD Drew, any point that you want to point out that we didn't capture there?
You're going to have to lean on Bobby Smith running the ball if you are Johnson C. Smith. And Proctor out there. Proctor's a man-child. I don't know if y'all saw what he did in that game, and if Kelvin Durham can have an average game, but Proctor and Smith can step up and assert themselves and dominate, then this is very. I mean, you've got arguably one of the top quarterbacks, definitely the top HBCU quarterback on the Division II level out there. He just has to do what he does. I don't need you to be a superhero and throw 5 touchdowns again. I'll settle for 3, or I'll take 2 through the air and 1 rushing. Some combination of like that.
Use his legs.
Yeah, some combination like that. But just don't turn the ball over, because these teams, those are the type of things and let's not see too many yellow handkerchiefs against Johnson C. Smith.
Yep.
Great point. Charles, I'm coming to you to start this one off. You have California PA, Vulcans out of the PSAC versus CIAA Virginia Union Panthers that had the great run last year, was doing so well this season, obviously got bitten in the championship game, but still a very strong seed. They're number 3 in terms of overall ranking in our poll rankings as they slid from the 2 spot, but they're actually number 3 in the playoff seeding region. Virginia Union Panthers at 9-2, 7-0, as you see the Vulcans coming in at 8-3, 3-3. What are your thoughts in terms of this matchup?
Now, I think that championship run last year goes a long way towards helping Virginia Union out this year. Curtis Allen, I'm gonna go with Curtis Allen until I can't. I like the way they continue to run the ball. He's gonna get his $150, and it's can they control the line of scrimmage in this game? So let's go Virginia Union this one.
Eddie Drew,
can Ahmad Ross impose his will on the defensive side for Virginia Union? That's number one. Number two, and I hate, and I don't want this to sound bad when I say this. You've got to take the game out of RJ Rosales' hands.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that, if you're Union, you can't get down early and rely on Rosales to bring you back. We saw what happened last week when Union got down and had to rely on Rosales to get them back. It was not a pretty sight. I mean, you gonna feed Curtis Allen until you cannot feed Curtis Allen anymore, and then you got to find somebody else who can rush the ball. So be it Trayvon Tinsley, I don't know who it is, but you got to find somebody.
I like that. Good stuff. Wilton, your thoughts?
To echo both of their points, if you're RJ Rosales, I don't need you to throw 200-300 yards. I just need you to do enough to manage the game and feed Curtis Allen till the wheels fall off. And I think that this is a Virginia Union team that, considering they lost in the CIAA championship, are going to be ready to take the field against another opponent in this year's playoffs. What's the over/under on 30 carries for Curtis Allen?
Over.
Absolutely.
Can I preface that? Can I change that, Charles? I maybe not 30 carries, but I want to see 30 touches. I think you need to be creative because everybody's so used to seeing Curtis Allen rush the ball. Get the ball to Curtis Allen in space. Get him on those short dump passes and everything. Let's go 30 touches before I say 30 carries.
I still think he might get 30 carries.
So he's talking about 35 touches. Good stuff. Let's go to the last one. Drew, I'm going to let you start this off and get everybody's final thoughts. This is to the final team that got in, essentially. That's Kentucky State Thoroughbreds. They're ranked 4 in our rankings there in terms of what they got done. 8-2, 7-1 is how they finished the season at actually 9-2. Excuse me, updates here. 7-1 at Newberry Wolves that are 9-1, 8-1 out of SAC. You see the two teams are playing HBCUs, both of them out of the SIAC. Newberry is a number 3 seed in the region. They are with you, Drew. What are your thoughts in terms of this particular matchup?
First of all, Kentucky State has won 8 consecutive games. That has to mean something to somebody out there, and it means something to somebody like me. Here's something that I don't know if I've seen this. Reed Sharpia for Newberry. Yep. Listen to these numbers, everybody. He's 227 of 324, 70% completion percentage, 2,682 yards, 23 touchdowns, and check it, only 1 INT the entire season. Now I love my armed services people, and I believe in the Navy. As in what's Navy's back name? The defensive back for Kentucky State. I can't think of his Navy's last name. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Navy Curry. Thank you. Yeah, and I believe in the Navy. Navy's gonna have to have a day. He's led the SIAC in interceptions. He's gonna have to figure out a way to get his hands on the ball from a quarterback who doesn't turn the ball over. You're talking about one of the top secondaries in the SIAC against one of the best passing offenses. The best equivalent Kentucky State has to what they are probably going to see. And no, this is not a shameless plug, but the Morehouse offense, which is a very pass-heavy offense, is what they are going to see a version of in the Newberry Wolves this Saturday.
Wilton, let me go to you and see your thoughts on this Thoroughbred versus the Wolves matchup and see where you're going in terms of this weekend. So far, it looks like we're about 2-2 in terms of wins, losses coming to playoffs.
I think this is, I know A.D. Drew talked about it from a defensive standpoint for Kentucky State. I think that we know that they can score, and offensively, they're going to need their playmakers, obviously, and Darius Cyprian and John McCall to step up and be able to make plays. But also to A.D. Drew's point, they got to get some type of hand and some pressure on Reed Sharpia for sure. but I do lean more towards Newberry winning this game. This is also a team that's found a way to win tight games and late game situations, especially getting defensive stops to help win this game, getting defensive stops to help win games this season. So I'm going to give a slight edge to Newberry in this one.
Charles, your final thoughts?
Yeah, I think the stat to look at in this is turnovers. Newberry plus 10. Kentucky State actually plus 11 turnover margin. Can they create a turnover? Can they create some short field opportunities where they can go punch something in? But it's going to be tough, man. I happen to catch a Newberry game. The thing that makes Reed Sharpie is so tough, he gets the ball out of his hands really quick. So that's one of the things you're going to have to really pay attention to with this quick game that Newberry has. Can Kentucky State get some pressure on him? If they can, it's going to be a long day because he's very, very accurate.
Sounds like we're hedging between three y'all going 2-3, 3-2, depending on which one I want to pick. So if I had Brian on here, he would tell me that means if we're going with HBCUs getting a win, you would have over-under at 2.5. Wilton, you going over or under?
I'm gonna go under.
Charles, over or under?
Under.
Drew?
I'm gonna have to do that because I can't pick the SIAC for obvious reasons. So I'm just gonna give you my CIAA prediction there, Dr. Cavil. And in the CIAA, I see it 50-50. I see a straight split in the CIAA. But shameless plug, if you want to hear more of my SIAC analysis, make sure you go to HBCU Game Day tomorrow. And nice. when I join Jamie and Sly on the SIAC sit down, as I take a deeper dive into some of these SIAC teams.
Oh, that should be good. Yeah, make sure you tune that in and see how that goes in terms of really getting you inside the numbers, see where you're going with these bids. It'll be fascinating to see on the other side how this looks. I do want to give one final plug and shout out to the SWAC conference office. They released the SWAC TV games for women and men's starting in January 1st, ending at the end of the season, March. Ending March 5th, I should say. On the women's side, if I added them, counted up, I believe it's 57 games for the women on SWAC TV and 55 for the men. So amazing to be able to catch that many games on the SWAC television. You're talking about where football was a great season in terms of what we saw there, in terms of being able to catch all these games. The numbers are doing what their numbers do. And I think with this type of number of games for basketball, men's and women's, that you're going to continue that momentum. So I did want to put that out there. We'll probably get a chance to maybe take a little deeper dive on Thursday to open things up to see what everybody thinks in terms of the SWAC TV package, some games that they have their eyes on early. But with that being said, let's give it a close to the day. Thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from Inside the Lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Again, I want to thank you for listening to Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop every Tuesday and Thursday. We're back on Thursday at 6 o'clock, Sunday at 9 a.m. We will be broadcasting, Mike and I, catching up with these guys, those that are able to join the 7th Sunday morning. We'll be in Florida, Orlando. We're going down for the Florida Classic, checking that box off, getting us a chance to see what that looks like. So excited about that opportunity. Want to say follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil. That's DrKenyattacavil on Threads, Facebook, and Instagram. Again, that's DrKenyattacavil. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on Facebook, Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on YouTube. I want to say a shout out, as I said, to all those. Joe Clay, and make sure he understands, call him out one more time. Alan Williams, getting in here, make sure they get it right. Doing what's necessary. Mike Washington, see if we can wrestle him up. Roland Austin, Kaki, where am I? Shanetta. Go ahead and give the folks some love. 1876 Sports and Culture. What's the problem? You retired already? Do 2 seasons, 1 half season? a little heartbreak. Now the team winning again. You can't show up. Anyway. Dream big. Continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Charles.
Of course.
Wilton.
Lecture.
You like the way I stir it up a little bit?
Man, y'all ain't no good, y'all. This